Chapter 17. I'd never expected an Egyptian evening to be so cool. Under a clear starry sky with mist coming off the river, it could almost have been England, yet it wasn't England. The hum of insects and the smell, like dust and sweat and mint all mixed together, told me exactly where I was. I felt excited again, terrified. I sensed it in the others too. Tulip was unusually quiet. Oz, up ahead, was whistling under his breath. This time, as we passed Castle Carter, there was a single light on at a window downstairs. The cars that had been there earlier had gone. I expect he's at the cocktail party, I reasoned. Still, we hurried past and had almost reached the main road when Tulip, who was bringing up at the rear, suddenly yelled, "Ah! Something's bitten me!" In the dark, I could just about see her holding her foot and grimacing. Very gently, I helped her sit down. "Is it bleeding?" I crouched down beside her. "Don't think so." She gritted her teeth to check. "Ah!" "Did you see what did it?" Oz wanted to know. "Was it a snake or a dog?" I didn't like the idea of either. "We'd better have a look at the bite," I said. As Oz flicked on his torch, Tulip begrudgingly pulled down her sock. You could see a bright red mark just below her ankle, though thankfully no blood. "It really flipping hurts," Tulip gasped. "Can you get up?" I asked. "I think so." But once she was on her feet, she couldn't walk more than a few steps. The pain made her catch her breath. I felt suddenly close to tears. "No crying," Tulip said sternly. "I'll be fine in a minute." But it was obvious she wasn't going to manage a 2-mile trek in the dark, then climb a cliff face at the end of it. We had to take her back to the boat and fetch Mrs. Mendoza, and probably a doctor too. "Oh no," she insisted. "I'm coming with you, even if I have to crawl on my hands and knees." "But we don't know what's bitten you." "It could be poisonous. All sorts of things like rattlesnakes and deadly spiders live in desert places. If she'd been got by one of those, we were in trouble." Tulip was stubborn. "I mean it, Lil. After all we've been through to get here, I'm not dropping out over a stupid bite." "It looks like a sting," Oz pointed out. "We don't know for sure, though, did we? If someone could just look at it and tell us—" "We'll have to carry her back," Oz interrupted my thinking. Tulip snorted. "Lil's not a beast of burden." I wasn't, but it did give me an idea. The boy with the camels was easy enough to find. It was his animals I saw first, dozing in the grass. On seeing me, one of them grunted. The other chewed and stared, then spat on the ground. It wasn't much of a welcome, but after earlier I wasn't really expecting one. The boy himself was crouched on the river bank, cooking eggs on a fire. "Hello," I panted, out of breath from running. "I'm afraid I'm here to ask for your help again." The boy prodded his eggs till they spat aggressively in the pan. I suppose he was still angry at us for needing rescuing earlier. "I'm sorry about the sandstorm business." I tried to be polite, like Tulip. "But my friend's been bitten by something, and I hoped you might be able to help." The boy stood up, taking his pan off the fire. He was still wearing his enormous scarf, which made his face look small and sharp, his eyes bright. "It is not only the sandstorm I'm angry about," he said. "Earlier today you passed on the river bank. You were most rude." Thinking he meant Tulip's comment about the camel looking like Oz, I tried to explain. "My friend made a joke, that's all. We weren't laughing at you." But hearing how shoddy it sounded, I felt myself go all red the same. "Let's do this properly this time, shall we?" The boy wiped his hand, then offered me one. "I'm Pepe. My camels are called Charlie and Chaplin, after the famous movie star." "I'm Lil," I stuttered, shaking his hand. "Your camels have excellent names." Pepe didn't smile. "We are honest and have feelings and offer a very good service to tourists like you. If you and your friends only want to laugh at us, find yourself an old mule too deaf to hear." I'm very sorry, Pepe. I was starting to get flustered. My apology wasn't working, and I was desperately worried about Tulip. We didn't mean to upset you or your camels, but my friends, Oz and Tulip, are really nice people, and we're trying to do something terribly important tonight, and... Pepe held up his hand to stop me. No speeches, please. Show me to your friend. Pepe insisted on bringing the camels in case Tulip couldn't walk. I'm absolutely not getting up on one of those, she cried when she saw Chaplin and Charlie. I can manage, thank you. She couldn't, of course, and it was Pepe's turn to laugh when Tulip had to give up after a few steps. Please, Tulip, I begged, just let Pepe look at your bite. Rolling her eyes like I was making a huge fuss, she pulled down her sock for him to see. The wound definitely looked worse. It was red and swollen, about the size of a hockey ball, with 2 marks in the middle where the skin was pierced. How bad is the pain? Pepe asked. Tulip grimaced. Like hot worms crawling up my leg. It sounded awful. Pepe sat back on his heels. Ah, that will be a scorpion. Crikey, I've never seen a proper scorpion sting before, Oz said with relish. Tulip looked at me terrified. I held her hand. No, Pepe reassured us. A scorpion sting is good. At least it's better than a snake bite. You won't die. Tulip tried to joke. Well, that's one less thing to worry about. But it wasn't, was it? In a whirl of a panic, I remembered Kiki's dream. Scorpions were in it, crawling over his feet. It was another bad omen, Lysindra had said. A sign of danger. Death. Poison. I told the others as quickly and as plainly as I could. If, as I'd been dreading, the curse was now stalking us, then Tulip was the next victim. None of us was immune. Then we absolutely can't delay any longer, she said, squeezing my hand tightly. Where is it you are wanting to go? Pepe asked. When I told him, he looked at me like I was mad. To the Pharaoh's tomb? Tonight? Not the Pharaoh's tomb exactly, the cliff above it, to be precise, and quickly too, if you don't mind. He shook his head. Oh no, no one goes there at night. My skin prickled. The valley had a strange, eerie feel to it, all right. I'd sensed it myself, but we were well beyond being put off by it, though Pepe meant something else. There are special rules for visiting the valley these days. I frowned. Rules? Oh, yes. Thanks to your Mr. Carter, we can't even walk in our own desert without a permit. An Egyptian official and plenty of this. Pepe rubbed his fingers to mean money. I wanted to point out that he wasn't my Mr. Carter, but I understood. We have to go there, I begged. It's for my grandfather. We've come all this way to do this one thing just for him. Pepe breathed in through his nose, considering it. Will Tulip be all right? I asked. It's a risky trip for everyone, he said, but as you've asked politely and it's your family, I'm willing to overlook the 2 of these requirements. It was a relief to get going at last. A mere click of Pepe's tongue and the camels lay down, all spindly legs and knobbly knees, and so awkwardly they looked more like folding tables than animals. Charlie is the sensible one, Pepe explained. I'll have him, Oz said, and before anyone could argue, he'd scrambled on board. And Chaplin here is the show-off, Pepe told us, though both camels looked the same to me. I was right about the saddles. They were horribly uncomfortable and scratchy against your knees. And when our camel knelt on his front legs to stand up, I was petrified we'd slide down its neck. At least with 2 of us, me in front and Tulip behind, it meant we were wedged in tight. The actual riding part wasn't too bad either. Like sitting on a bony armchair, the miles went by quickly. As it was late, there was no traffic on the road. It was as dark as anything, which meant it wasn't hard to think of curses in a place like this, or of ancient magic taking its revenge. When I felt myself getting scared, I thought of Grandad and patted my satchel for reassurance. And when I wasn't worrying about him, I kept asking Tulip if she was all right. My leg's going sort of tingly and numb, she said. It feels weird, but it's better than the pain. Pepe's way down into the valley was quicker and steeper than ours. It wasn't the easiest route, he explained, but it was the most secret. There are guards patrolling, he told us. They'll arrest us if we're caught without the proper papers. I warn you now. As soon as we left the road, the darkness changed. It got thicker, colder. Under Pepe's firm orders, we kept absolutely quiet. All you must do is hold on tight, he instructed. Trust your camel. He'll know where he's going. I wasn't sure how true this was, because at first Chaplin kept stumbling over every rock we came to. I felt mean not turning my torch on to help, but Pepe laughed quietly. You think camels need torches? They see by starlight. I looked up when he said that. Properly looked up. Until my eyes got used to the night. Oh, Tulip, I whispered, have you seen the sky? She hugged me a little tighter round the waist. Dear Lil, I've been looking up at it for miles. In London, you only saw the faintest stars right in the middle of the sky. Here they were everywhere, right down in the far-flung corners and all along the edges. There were almost too many, if that were possible. What I saw now, over to the left, looked like yet another one, except stars don't move from side to side. Oz had seen it too and turned in his saddle. Pepe, what's that over there? The light was below us on the path and, as much as I could tell, not that far away. It stood out quite clearly, bobbing a little as it moved. We all stopped to watch. It's coming from the tomb site, Pepe explained. It appears to be a torch. The camels began to plod forwards again, the path levelling out as we reached the valley floor. Over to our left, the torch beam kept moving. Someone else was very definitely there. You have to have a permit to be in the valley, Pepe reminded me, and the company of an Egyptian official. It is the law, even for Mr. Carter. A law we were breaking, I thought nervously. We didn't have a permit, and surely Pepe wasn't old enough to be an official. Who do you think it is then? I asked. Only the guards? Probably.